I just feel like you wasted Black Twitter's time.
Wasted our time, okay? I say "our" as if I'm still on it, but Black Twitter has racist docs. Okay?
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Welcome to Keep It, Crooked Media's show about pop culture and politics and what happens when they smack into each other at an alarming speed. I'm your host, Ira Madison III. I'm a television writer and Fall Out Boy fan.
I'm Louis Fertel. I'm a TV writer and Jane Fonda historian.
And I'm Aida Osman. I'm a TV writer and alleged comedian.
Let's get into it.
And we're back with our favorite segment of the episode. It is Keep It. Den, as our guest host this week, why don't you go?
Guest host or guest ho? Just kidding. Sorry.
People contain multitudes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. A hag.
So,
There we are.
Ho acting gay.
I claim that as my identity. My Keep It this week is Caitlyn Jenner telling the voters of California that they got what they deserved.
Did she hit them with a car?
She tried. She tried.
It's a shame. Honestly, it's a shame. You kind of get the government you deserve.
She so hugely lost this recall, which we all knew was going to happen. Like, this was never a serious thing. And also, the voters of California clearly wanted Gavin Newsom to stay in office, and why wouldn't they? So, I just thought it was this epic moment. And largely, and in general, every time I see a photo of Caitlyn Jenner, every time I hear anything she has to say, I just do a small little keep it, like almost like a prayer, like a chant, a keep it, because I do not want it.
What's remarkable about Caitlyn Jenner is she's had so much media presence and opportunity to speak, and yet still does not have a single fan. There is nobody who's she can't even get it 1/100th of right. She is weirdly supposed to be caping for Republicans, yet they're like, what the fuck? We don't like you either. So it's just like this weird sitcom character who just is like bumblefuck every day in a new way, alienating people in a new way every day. So weird. It's so shocking.
And the bots that are on her side, that were on her side during the election, just misgender her. So,
right.
Who are you trying to have love you, girl? I find when you even said that Caitlyn Jenner was like, people of California got what they deserve, I forgot that heifer was even running. By the end of the recall, it was yes. Save California from Larry Elder and the GOP. Wasn't nobody thinking about Caitlyn Jenner?
No.
Does her family think about her?
No. The question I'm always asking is, who are her people? Who are your people that you are allowed to just go do these interviews and say the things you say? Why aren't they holding you back?
One of the two most embarrassing gay celebs I've ever had a photo taken with that have been scrubbed from the internet.
Oh, you and your team got on that?
Yes, her and Pete Buttigieg. We don't talk about that.
Is that one photo?
No, just two different photos. We don't talk about the Pete Buttigieg era of my life. So, moving on.
My Keep It this week is to Dear Evan Hansen, but I'm only bringing it up because it feels like nobody is talking about the actual things that are wrong with this movie, and they've invented this whole other set of curriculum that it failed at, which is not really true. For instance, everybody is now obsessed with, and I think I even said this at one point on Keep It, oh, well, he's a big psycho. He's somebody who's trying to gain clout through this fellow student's death, whatever. The movie is ultimately about that. I mean, maybe you might say it doesn't fully state how insane what he's doing is, but it really is ultimately about how what he's doing is monstrous. I mean, so I think it gets to that. What is so weird to me about this musical, this particular adaptation, is it goes for realism in every single way. There's never a moment of this movie where you're taken away by the musical grandeur. And in fact, the musical signature song, Waving Through a Window, is treated as this throwaway right at the beginning of the show. You forget that it even happened. And the way they film it is...
he's walking through a hallway.
He's just walking through a hallway. It's the most baffling choice because... and I think ultimately what's wrong with this adaptation is the direction. It needed something of the unreal. It needed something that didn't... it felt so often like just a gray living room drama. Like, you know how the movie August Osage County felt like it had no momentum in it? It was missing the thing of the play. That's what this felt like. I was just static in a room, forgetting this was ever a dynamic experience. And I think that's the director's fault mainly. And also, it's the director's fault for not reeling in Ben Platt's performance early in the movie where he is twitching like, I'm not kidding, the fucking Joker. There's just no way he meant to do that on camera. There's no way he wanted that on camera looking like that.
The opening of this film should have been like the opening of Get Over It, with Ben Foster walking with the box after he's dumped, and Vitamin C singing Love Will Bring Us Together behind him. Like, I was so shocked in the opening with Waving Through a Window where like no one was dancing behind him. I was like, is this a musical?
Right.
It's like all the songs are in his head.
Yeah, it was so strange. And I will say the supporting performances in this movie, some of them are awesome. I thought Julianne doing a song I often hated from that musical was excellent. That's So Big, So Small. She slowed down the song a little bit, and the movie was already running overtime at that moment. Yeah. So the odds were stacked against her. I thought that was great. Caitlyn Dever, fabulous again. We loved her in Booksmart.
Amy Adams was not good.
Amy Adams, I thought, was the worst actor in the movie.
Yes. Wow. I haven't seen Hillbilly Elegy, but I'm like, girl, is this your worst performance? I haven't seen Woman in the Window yet either.
Oh, my God. Wow. The trilogy. Oh, no.
Going off what you were saying, though, the movie, I wanted more of the fantastic. Yeah, the less realism. Because for me, it played everything straight. And what this film really wanted to be was a melodrama.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
And when people talk about how crazy he is, I'm like, it's what you'd get from like Rock Hudson, like going after Jane Wyman in Magnificent Obsession, right? But if this were a brightly colored melodrama where you were inside his head and really felt that he was doing all of this because he was in love with this girl, that would have made more sense. But it doesn't want to pick if he's doing it for this girl, if he's like mentally ill, you know, like the Lexapro talk, the stuff. I'm like, it's trying to do too much. And also, I still don't know if it was trying to satirize elements of the film, you know, where he's like becoming famous for talking about his best friend's suicide. It's like, are you saying that like people who do this kind of stuff like deserve to be satirized, or are you just using it as a joke now?
Yeah, it is confusing. Do you know who I think should have directed this? Danny Boyle. Somebody who really like throws in a ton of elements of like kind of technological wonderment. You know how even in like the movie Steve Jobs, there's a movie where he's like walking down a hallway and it's all like computer walls or something? It needed something like that, something spectacular to take us away from the rather drab nature of the subject matter, because this is a drab movie.
My keep it this week is to the like podcast true crime mystery that's been going on with Kelly Price's quote unquote disappearance. Mm-hmm. So to try and like break this down, she was the subject of a missing persons report filed in Georgia after last being seen at a police wellness check at her home on September 18th. And her sister talked about how like the family was worried for her, was trying to find her, and we knew that she had gotten COVID, and people were concerned that she was dead, that she was just missing somewhere and needed our help. I don't know, that she was at Mr. Big's house.
Right.
It came out the other day in an interview with TMZ that she's not missing. She just had COVID and almost died. She said, at some point, they lost me and I died. I woke up days later, and the first thing I remember is doctors asking me if I knew what year it was. And I'm like, so this story has gone from you were missing, people are looking for you. You truly like like Joy Reid is like posting like, can we find out what's going on with Kelly Price, people? Like the Black community was in tatters. And then it comes that she's just like, oh, I like nearly died from COVID. And when asked if she was vaccinated, ignored the question.
Always.
So now the story has really turned into, so you almost died because you didn't get vaccinated.
Great.
And now I'm just mad.
Yeah, tough. So by the way, why would she be missing ever?
Right. And the thing that also is part of the story is that, like, as happens with celebrities and particularly singers, she ain't really close with her actual family. And so, like, there's a lot of things about her saying that, like, I don't really talk to my family. And so the sister saying that she's missing is sort of like the sister trying to make the narrative about her and be involved, maybe. But she's like, they think I'm missing because I'm not talking to them. I'm like, there's a lot going on here. And where's Oliver Stone? Okay. We've seen Nixon. We've seen JFK. I need Price.
We need to know what's going on.
Had you even heard about this story, Louis?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, my main news source for everything is Jack Hayes' Twitter. So
yes. Jack Hay, which, speaking of Price, is playing Paulina Price on Days of Our Lives currently and doing it excellently. I just had to shout her out.
One of the shames of our lives is that she has not been on this podcast, and she is a slay in every way. Like I like the things she writes on Twitter. I'm like, why are you this funny? It's like so crazy.
Didn't you tweet at her once to come on the show? She followed me when I was on Twitter. I know she follows you.
Yeah, right. No, I met her once and she was like, "Oh, Louis from Twitter, so witty." And I was like, "I can't believe you just said that." Anyway, she's not been on here. Jack Hay, Harry, we love
Gotta
you.
get her on. Keep it.
Yes. So it's such a weird story.
It's weird, it's baffling, and I kind of feel like maybe it wasted, like, that Black Twitter is going to sleuth the whole situation and figure out everything, and they're going to do it quickly. And I'm like, I just feel like you wasted Black Twitter's time.
Wasted our time, okay? I say "our" as if I'm still on it, but, like, Black Twitter has racist docs. Okay.
Right.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
They've got women in parks who are harassing Black people.
We've got Karens to get fired.
Come on.
We're busy.
I like that all of that Black Twitter is just the new #1 ladies detective agency. Apparently.
Let's bring back season 2.
By the way, my friend just refreshed me on one of the crazier stories of the Weinstein era, which is when Harvey Weinstein apparently promised Lupita Nyong'o a part on #1 Ladies Detective Agency, a show that had been canceled for years. Anyway, that is so fucking insane.
That's if there's any funny parts of the Harvey Weinstein scandal. That truly was a baffling part of the Lupita Nyong'o story.
Like, he couldn't think of a show with, like, Black people in it, and that was the first thing that came to mind or something. It was so... it's real mind-boggling.
That's amazing. Yeah.
I'm going to get you a part on The Wire.
You're going to love this show, The Jeffersons. Yeah.
Oh, God.